let's move on to 2024. 2024 is going to be a big deal. The reality is, though, is that don't bypass 2022. 2022 is going to be a big deal as well. It's a midterm election. Usually the party in the White House, they lose seats. So there is a chance that Republicans could take back the Senate. I think they will definitely take back the Senate as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot. I think Republicans can take back the House. It's going to be a little bit rocky, but we'll see. But 2024 is kind of what I want to look at, just to kind of give you an idea of where I think the top 5 GOP candidates are right now. Obviously, a lot can change. In 2012, I really thought Bobby Jindal, he was the governor of Louisiana at the time. I thought he would have been the best candidate for president. I still think he would be a good president. He just doesn't have any kind of momentum. He is kind of boring, which is what Louisiana needed. They needed a boring governor at that time when he got elected. But I still think he would have been. I thought Scott Walker from Wisconsin would have been great. Again, all of them fell out. We ended up with Donald Trump. So, but at this current time, what the GOP needs, what Republicans really need as a party, is they need someone like Trump who isn't Trump, if that makes any sense. So let me put it this way. They need someone with most of Trump's policy preferences. They need someone who is willing to fight back against Democrats and the media. But I repeat myself. But they need someone who's more polished, someone who doesn't make the unforced errors that Trump made. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of lies about Trump, a lot of things that were just not true that were being spouted in the media. A more polished person will not make those same mistakes. They can say the same thing Trump is saying and make sure that their message actually gets out a little bit better, which is kind of surprising. You would think someone who spent the better part of 40 years basically building an empire on marketing would have been a better marketer while he was president. So that's kind of rough, but they need someone who's willing to fight. I think Trump was... I think one of my friends said he is the id of the Republican Party. Basically, he's all the pent up emotion and frustration that Republicans have had since 2004. The last really good election cycle for Republicans was 2004. I mean, after that election, they just won the White House back. That George W. Bush had won the presidency. They had 55 seats in the Senate. They controlled the House of Representatives. They're on cloud 9. That's the last time Republicans actually are like, yeah, we're actually doing all right. And then they got clobbered in 2006, clobbered again in 2008. 2010 was pretty good. They took back the House, but the Senate was still Democrat controlled. Obama gets reelected in 2012 with that spineless weasel, Mitt Romney. And it's really, really sad that it took that long, and we had to go to someone like Donald Trump to get our voice, to get that raw just frustration out. So we need someone like that, someone who's willing to punch back 10 times harder than the media will punch, and kind of just return fire. So I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, as far as from a more conservative and a more Republican standpoint. Having said all that, I think the person who stands out the most right now as the person who, if I had to rank them right now as my top 5, right now the top person for me in the country is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He's the personification of Trumpism without being Trump. And I mean this in a good way. So if you haven't seen the video of him just shutting down a CNN reporter who was trying to basically grandstand and make it look like Ron DeSantis is, killing people by not distributing vaccines well enough in his state, he just shuts her down, and it's glorious. And every time I see a new press conference with Ron DeSantis, or every time he gives an interview or something like that, I swear, I'm looking at the screen, and I was like, stop it, Ron DeSantis, stop it. All right, my penis can only get so erect. It's really a sight to behold when you see him, how he handles the media, and how well he knows his shit. So as of right now, I'd say he's at the top of my list for who I think should be 2024. He has to win re-election as Florida governor in 2022, though. That could be a problem. But if he wins that, I think he's the front runner. I think, at least as of right now, I think he's the front runner to be the GOP nominee in 2024. Next on my list, this hurts me a little bit because of just some recent things she said, but Nikki Haley. You have to remember that for about 2 years, Nikki Haley was the most popular politician in the country. Everybody loved her. She was Trump's ambassador to the UN. She was great on how she talked to foreign diplomats and foreign governments. She got the message through loud and clear that America was not going to be pushed around anymore. And I think the more recent attacks that she's made on Trump will hurt her. But she's also a strong, charismatic woman in the GOP. She's obviously got the foreign policy credentials because she was UN ambassador. She was also a governor of a state. So she has both sides of this. She knows how to focus on domestic policies, and she knows her shit on foreign policy. So I think she'll be formidable. I think her attacks on Trump will kind of hurt her with the kind of the Trump wing of the Republican Party. I think that will actually help her with the Never Trumpers, which kind of sucks because I kind of want Never Trumpers completely excised from the Republican Party. I think over the next 4 years, you're going to see a struggle between 3 different factions of the Republican Party. You're going to see the MAGA, just Trump can do no wrong people. You're going to see the Never Trumpers, the people Trump was, Hitler reincarnated kind of Republicans. And then you're going to see where I think the majority of the Republican Party is like, Trump, sometimes good, sometimes bad. That's where I feel I stand for the most part. And so I think what you're going to see is kind of that's what you're going to see in the primaries. You're going to see people trying to get 2 out of the 3. So you're going to see maybe Ron DeSantis tries to get the MAGA people with the sometimes Trumpers. And then Nikki Haley gets the Never Trumpers with the sometimes Trumpers. And so I think you'll see something like that. I think that might be kind of a strategic thing, but we'll see how it plays out. By 2024, who knows? I mean, Trump's an old guy. I mean, Trump might decide to, just lock himself in his basement and be like, all right, I'm done. I'm almost 80. I'm going to actually enjoy the rest of my life. That could happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but he's an old guy. He could be dead. So there's that. So we'll see. But as of right now, the top 2 people I'm looking at, Ron DeSantis from Florida, Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina and UN ambassador. Those are my top 2. The next person I think is Ted Cruz. He's probably got the most name recognition in the Republican Party. He's a solid conservative. Everybody who's ever talked to him has said he is just a brilliant person. He's just very smart. But when you are that smart, you do come across a bit punchable. So he is a little too punchable, even with the beard. The beard kind of softens him a little bit, I think. But yeah, he's got a very punchable face. But at the same time, he to me is kind of the, I don't like using the word establishment for him because I don't think he's necessarily establishment, but he is the kind of prototype. He's the solid conservative. If you want a very good conservative, somebody will appoint the right Supreme Court justices, somebody who will he will make conservative policy in general. Ted Cruz is kind of like, okay, this is the guy. So that's the surefire bet. That's for a draft analysis for NFL. So if you are planning to draft somebody and you're not sure which position you should choose, do you choose the loudmouth wide receiver who will put butts in the seats, or are you going to choose that middle linebacker is going to play for probably 12 years and could potentially be the next like Mike Singletary? or Brian Urlacher, someone like that. You know, the surefire guy that you know is going to be solid for you all the time, a Ted Cruz, or the flashy wide receiver who, you know, he may have good 5 years in him if he doesn't, you know, get arrested on a party boat or something like that during the year sometime. So it is kind of like that. Ted Cruz is that solid linebacker pick. The next person I would say, Rand Paul. Rand Paul is the poster child for the libertarian wing of the Republican Party. I like him more than I like his dad for this simple reason. He's more pragmatic. So Rand Paul is willing to sacrifice the perfect for the very good, unlike most libertarians. So, for example, if your goal is to prevent war, Rand Paul is not going to just say, okay, no war for any reason. But Rand Paul will say, well, here's a declaration of war. Can we get both the House and Senate to vote on this? And once they have declared war, we will then go and fight a war. Same thing, he's also said, you know, he has this great plan. I believe it used to be a penny plan. Now it's a 2-penny plan, where you can cut government spending if something isn't specifically renewed in the budget every year. It immediately gets cut by 1%. So there's your penny plan. Now it's 2 pennies, so it's 2%. So anything that isn't, any government program that isn't actually renewed every single year in the budgeting process gets cut by 1%. So it's basically, okay, you're not going to get extra funding, you're actually going to get cut. Your funding is going to get cut, but by 1%. So it's not something that's crazy amount of cutting. It's just, okay, well, we're just going to slowly bring it down. I believe his figures said that we could have a balanced budget within, I think he said 10 years, if we just did that. So cut certain government programs by 1%. So that doesn't seem too bad for me. It's not like, it's basically, hey, let's cut by 1%. Let's not just say, okay, we're going to cut everything down to balanced budget right this second, even though for the last, 7 or 8 years, we were running at least $600 billion budget deficits. So I like him because he brings that libertarian wing of the party in, and I think he can draw some people from the libertarian party itself and get some actual libertarians that never vote and be like, okay, maybe I'll vote for a Republican this time around. Even if he doesn't win the nomination, he can bring in those extra votes. Be like, hey, this is a guy you can trust. He's going to do okay. And then my wild card, number 5, is actually Rick Grinnell. So Rick Grinnell was on Trump's cabinet. He did a lot of the heavy lifting for the Middle East peace deals that I talked about. So he's got a lot of foreign policy credentials. Was gay, so trying to use the whole, oh, you're homophobic against him, not going to work. Also, in California, they're planning to, it looks like I live in California, so it looks like we're going to be recalling Gavin Newsom, so our governor. So it looks like he's going to run for governor in California. If he wins that election and ends up being governor of California, him running for office, him running for president in 2024, it's not a bad thing, not necessarily something that would stand out. I don't think he would get the nomination, largely because he's gay, and you still have a lot of very conservative people out there to be like, maybe that's maybe a step too far. We did just elect Trump, who was completely pro-gay marriage, the first president to ever be elected as being pro-gay marriage. Do we want to elect an actual gay person? It would be kind of weird to have the first gentleman be for a gay couple. That might be a bridge too far for some of maybe the older people in the Republican Party. I really wouldn't have a problem with it because I think he would basically put in the kind of, again, Supreme Court justices I'm looking for. It turns out gay people aren't a fan of having their taxes really, really high either. And I don't think much on social policy. I mean, gay marriage has already been declared a right by the Supreme Court. He can't really do anything to change that. So it's not really that big a deal. So but he would be kind of my dark horse in there, especially if he does end up taking Gavin Newsom's job in this recall election, which I hope comes sometime this summer, which would be great. And then just some honorable mentions. I'm going to throw them out there. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. Candace Owens has mentioned that she is considering running for president. I doubt she will. Ben Shapiro is just now over the age of 35. But they are big names in the conservative movement. And the only way for them to get more name recognition, the only way, well, maybe not name recognition, but the only way to use their name recognition is they would have to run for president. Being a senator of a state or a governor of a state, maybe they have more influence that way, but these are people who have millions of views on their videos every day. It's not really, president's really the only place they can go from here, because they're already building businesses and building a following that's much bigger than even one big state. So, but yeah, those are kind of just like, oh yeah, if that'd be kind of nice, see somebody who isn't a politician run again. But as far as the top 5 for me at this time, February 13th, 2021, I would say Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Rick Grinnell. I think those are the top 5 for 2024. So those would be that's where I would go. And if you guys think of anybody else, go ahead and leave me a comment leave me some comments. I would love to hear who you think would be a good GOP candidate for 2024. But we're going to move on to something else here. Okay, so moving on to somebody else who did nothing wrong, not just Donald Trump, Gina Carano. So I've been a fan of Gina Carano since she was in MMA. She was if I remember, she was in the first women's MMA fight to be broadcast on national television on a broadcast network. She was also the first female main event. She was in the first female main event of a major MMA promotion. So her versus Chris Cyborg was the main event in a Strikeforce card. I know because my brother was supposed to fight on that card before he got injured, and I already had my ticket to the fight. So I went and saw that fight live. It was a really good first round. So I've been a fan of Gina Carano since she was an MMA fighter. So the fact that she got fired for making a Nazi Germany comparison, when Nazi Germany comparisons have been all over social media by dozens of Disney people for the past 5 years, is absolutely ridiculous. So she got fired because she didn't mention Republicans, she didn't mention Democrats, she didn't mention anything like that. What she mentioned was that we should be treating our neighbors with respect, not othering them the way that Germans did with Jews during the Holocaust, or before the Holocaust. That's not what we should be doing. So it's really sad that Disney fired her when they are actively promoting for a tweet like that, or for an Instagram post, when they are actively promoting movies that they did in China. China literally has literal concentration camps. China is right now a present day Nazi Germany. They are subjugating a religious and ethnic minority, the Uyghur Muslims. They are putting them in literal concentration camps. They're putting them on trains to the concentration camps. They are forcibly sterilizing them, and in many cases working them to death and killing them. Not only that, but they are the only reason why another essentially the dictatorship that should have crumbled a long time ago, they are propping up the only other country similar that has concentration camps and is sending people on trains to do manual labor until they die and letting them starve to death. They're the only reason North Korea still exists. They are propping that country up, and they're propping that regime up. They are responsible for the two closest things to Nazi Germany we have in the world today. China is responsible for that. And not only that, you see all this stuff about people online. You see all this stuff people online complaining about slavery that happened in America almost 200 years ago. And rightfully so. That was a horrible part of American life and culture, and it should have never existed, and I wish it never had. But they're complaining about slavery in this country 150, 200 years ago. China literally has slaves right now. And North Korea, everybody in North Korea is a slave. Everybody. So nobody wants to say anything about that. To top it all off, China is actually colonizing Africa right now in a different way than Europeans did. Europeans went in there, kind of stripped it of most of its natural resources, and then eventually their empires crumbled and they left. And they left Africa in ruins. China right now is basically doing the same thing, just in a 21st century kind of way. They're colonizing Africa right now, propping up dictators who are also out there killing their own people or committing genocide in their own countries. China's helping with that. So you have a company, Disney, propping up, doing business actively and promoting their business with the modern day version of Nazi Germany. So they have no moral ground to stand on to fire Gina Carano for saying, look, it started off in Germany, which is true, that they just started little by little putting out the propaganda pieces that Jews are bad, Jews are bad, Jews are bad. Jews are not bad, but that's what Germany started doing. And then eventually, they didn't really need to go and round up the Jews. Everybody was saying, oh, there's the Jews. Go ahead, take them. They're bad. There's probably something wrong there. So Gina Carano was pointing that out, that we should not hate people for their political differences and their different political beliefs. Try to convince them, try to do that. And she got fired for it, which was bullshit. Especially since she's the only character with any real character development on that show besides Baby Yoda. So I really think she's more interesting as a character on The Mandalorian than anybody else. And to top it all off, the actual star of the show, Pedro Pascal, he actually posted 2 years ago, he posted a meme of children in a Nazi Germany concentration camp alongside with Mexican immigrants, children, that were being kept in cages under the Obama administration, but he tagged it as 2018, so it was Trump administration. But he made sure to link United States to Nazi Germany. He still got a job. He's still working on The Mandalorian. So the reality is she was fired because she's a more conservative person. She was a Trump supporter. That's why they got rid of her. Bottom line. So I'm glad that, I actually am a subscriber to the Daily Wire. I'm glad that Daily Wire kind of picked her up. They're trying to get more into the culture thing. They're trying to produce movies, produce other types of art. So I'm glad they picked her up. I'm glad they're going to let her produce a movie and star in a movie. And I hope this keeps going. And we need to make sure that conservatives are not being canceled anymore at all. We saw Milo Yiannopoulos get canceled. We've seen Gavin McGinnis get canceled. Granted, they are the extreme kind of provocateurs. Same thing with Alex Jones. Those are the extreme cases of, they're supposed to be the crazy ones. But they shouldn't be getting canceled and being stripped from their ability to produce and make money and do what they do. If you want to call out hatred and bigotry, shine the sunlight on it. You want to see people absolutely hate somebody? Let a true bigot really get shown out in public. They'll lose all their following completely, guaranteed. So it's sad that happened, but for Gina Carano to get canceled like that, we as conservatives really need to send a message to these companies that we're not going to deal with this crap anymore. So I'm glad that we are seeing more and more places like the Daily Wire that are going to start producing things in the culture, and hopefully more and more people start picking that up. So that's my take on that. I really think if you have, I think kind of like for Netflix, I know a lot of us aren't going to cancel Disney Plus. I know a lot of us aren't going to cancel Hulu. Just like Netflix with Cuties, a lot of us aren't going to cancel Netflix. Okay, but if you can cancel for a few months, that's a big deal. I mean, if you're talking $12 a month and every conservative that has a Disney Plus cancel for 3 months, I mean, that's a lot of money to their quarterly profits, and they're just going to be like, wow, okay, that was not a good thing. So if you cancel for 3 months every year, that's going to be a big deal as far as financial hits. Secondly, if you have an extra account, so start doing what we had to do this. We basically got a free Netflix account because my father-in-law had an account, and then I guess somehow he had 2 accounts. Either way, we shut one account down. I canceled my account. My wife canceled her account. We basically just all got on one Netflix account. So rather than us having a bunch of different accounts, we did that. Try doing that. If you have multiple accounts in the same household, cut them all down. If share your username and password with friends and family. That way you're all kind of using the same account. Maybe 1 or 2 people. I'm not sure how many people you can do. It's probably two different locations. Give your account to somebody else. That way they're taking half the hit. Try doing that. That way is, like I said, I know everybody's not gonna do it. Disney Plus is how my kids wind down before they go to bed. I put on some Mickey Mouse and they love it. So I get it. It's not something that we're gonna all be able to do, but try to make your small mark on this. You may think it's only $12, but if it's 10 million people at $15 a month, that's a million people times 15, then that's $15 million. If you do that, that's $45 million over 3 months. I mean, that's a big hit no matter how big the company is. So I would say just keep doing that. Try to think of something you can do to try to make sure that Disney knows this is not something you can do. You cannot cancel a mainstream conservative opinion person, a person with just mainstream conservative beliefs in the U.S. while you're doing business with today's modern version of Nazi Germany. Okay, so there's got to be something. If you can think of anything, again, leave a comment below. I would love to hear it. Something that is kind of a middle ground, something you can maybe keep your Disney Plus. Maybe you can still do, go to Disney World, things like that. But something that's a middle ground that will cost Disney some money that you regularly give to them. So that's all I got on that. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But if you guys have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, I would love to hear them. If you want me to just sit back and drink wine for an hour, I'm cool with that too. Once it starts getting warmer here in California, I'll start doing these outside, and I'll probably have a cigar and some scotch. Anyway, but if you guys, please like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. I really want this thing to grow. For the most part, like I said, I'm going to be just ranting for the most part on any kind of news of the day. So, but if you really would like to help me out, go to locals.com, filthyheathens.locals.com. That's my locals page, and subscribe. Become give me your money. If not, if you just like the free stuff, go ahead, go to my YouTube channel. Filthy Heathens is the channel name. Just like, share, and subscribe all my videos so that I can get you keep making these, and hopefully make more. I right now I'm going to try to do at least 2 videos a week, and I want to be able to do more and more and more, but I need more subscribers. So I want to thank you guys for watching this. This has been Kirk with the Filthy Heathens podcast, and you guys have a great rest of your day.